Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Hardwood Nation podcast with your boy, CL Anthony, and my main man, Bryce Ward. Bryce, what is up?
Not much, buddy. Glad to be here. I think a little more energetic than you are this morning.
Fuck off. Energetic
How
guy.
you get him
Yeah,
going? That's how you
yeah,
get him going,
yeah.
everybody. Call him
Energetic
out.
guy.
Call him
So
out.
we are at the official mid-season of the NBA season. Coming up in a couple of weeks, we're going to have, of course, the NBA All-Star break and also the NBA trade deadline. So I'm going to throw it to you first. We're not going to talk about injuries, but how happy are you that your Orlando Magic is right now sitting eighth in the Eastern Conference and are in the play-in/playoff discussion at this point in the season?
It's exactly where I don't think I speak alone. It's been a tough stretch recently, but I'm pretty sure if you ask most Magic fans before the season, this is kind of where we thought we'd be. Like I said, we're coming out, or this is the toughest schedule stretch of the season was January, but December was pretty close to it. So if we can end January even just close to where we are now, then it'll be a win because the rest of the season we should start to make up it. We should make up ground instead of losing it. But we'll see because injuries have played a pretty big role for both of our teams this season. So we'll see how that trend continues. But the Magic are starting to get players back finally, and we're halfway through. A little over halfway through January, so the tough stretch will be ending soon. And yeah, I couldn't ask for anything better. Besides the injuries, the Magic are pretty much. I mean, they started winning and they went on a little win streak, and they were winning more than I thought they would at the beginning of the season. So they have a little wiggle room here. But yeah, this is where they're at right now is kind of where I think most people at the beginning of the season would guess that they would be at. So yeah, no complaints there. I'm happy with what I've seen so far this season.
Who's your standout outside of Paulo? Because Paulo's the easy go-to answer. So who's your standout outside of Paulo?
Well, also the other easy answer is Franz. So I'm gonna go with Jalen Suggs, just because he's doing what all Magic fans have asked him to do, and that's just knock down shots, specifically 3-point shots, just to help spread the floor for Paolo and Franz. And last time I checked, I believe Jalen is shooting high 30s or even 40% from three. So he's stepped up and has knocked down shots pretty reliably for the Magic, and his defense is literally elite. He's one of the best guard defenders in the league. And he's also the motor lots of times. Like if Paolo's becoming this really vocal leader. Franz was on an interview with JJ Redick on his podcast and spoke a little about it. I think it was yesterday or the day before the interview dropped, so I listened to that. But in terms of like getting the defense going and getting the guys' energy up when the game starts, that's all Jalen Suggs. And you'll often see Jalen try to go coast to coast or try to get a big steal, and a lot of the energy that the Magic use to fuel themselves comes directly from Jalen Suggs. So besides Paolo, and I'll throw Franz in there too, besides those two, because they're the easy answer, I mean, Jalen Suggs has to be the brightest spot coming into the season. Biggest surprise, I'd say, yeah, Jalen Suggs stepping up big time.
So you put some numbers behind what you said about my boy, Jalen Suggs. Okay. So year 3, right now, he's shooting a career best from the field, 45%, shooting a career best. He's also averaging a career high 13.1 points per game. He's also shooting a career best by a large margin, 39.6% from the three-point arc. So yeah, he is having a fantastic season where he has trended up just a little bit, but it's enough to turn some heads because he's damn near shooting 40% from three. When he first came into the league, he was shooting 21. Okay,
Right.
that is almost a 20% jump. So yeah, he is shooting phenomenally, especially from the corner, and shooting with a lot of confidence. So I definitely agree with you on my boy Jalen Suggs. You know, see all the teeth right there. Yeah.
It was Cole Anthony before he cut his hair.
I don't know what you're talking about, sir.
Oh, we forget so quickly, huh?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You know, Cole is my cousin, my namesake. I still love you, okay? But don't do that to your hair ever again. Okay. Moving right along to the 3-time NBA champion Miami Heat. So right now the Heat are currently 6th in the playoff play-in conversation. And I will say this about the Magic: from position 4 down to position 8, which is where you guys at, there's a difference of only 4 games. And the only reason there's a little separation there is because Cleveland's going on a 7-game winning streak. God knows where that came from. And then New York's like on a 5-game winning streak. So that kind of caused just a little bit of separation. But the Magic are essentially 4 games out of the 4th spot, which isn't bad. Miami is right in the middle, excuse me, where we are 2 games out of the 4th spot. I would say the Heat has 2 standouts this year. One, of course, is a player that I've criticized in the past before, and that is Bam, who's proving that he can be a go-to guy. And also, Kevin Love in limited minutes is still putting up some good rebounding and assist numbers and 3-point shooting. So those are my 2 standouts for the Heat this year.
I thought for sure you were going to go with the rookie that you've been raving about.
No, Jaime is good, but he's still a rookie. He's good, but he ain't done shit yet. We don't talk about injuries a lot in Miami. It's just really the next man up. So I believe Jimmy, Bam, and Tyler's only played like 12 games together so far out of like 41. So I haven't really had a chance to get a good look at what they can be. But should we not have any more bullshit injuries, which we don't know, for the remainder of the season, I do predict that the Heat are going to catch Cleveland and be in the top 4 of the Eastern Conference and potentially host a home playoff game. I know off the podcast you mentioned the Atlanta loss. That was actually the first loss in the division for the Miami Heat all season long, which is the best division record in the NBA right now, which is crazy because we almost went half a season without dropping a division game. Dude, that's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, DeJounte Murray showed out this past week. The game winners against Miami and Orlando. It's too bad Atlanta's looking to trade him. So my question to you is, why do you think Atlanta's looking to move Murray?
Well, you know, Trae Young's nickname was it Ice Trae, right?
Yeah, Ice Trae.
Yeah. I think that's maybe how the rest of his team might look at him too. You know, like for whatever reason, nothing works in Atlanta around Trae Young, and they keep leaning towards keeping Trae Young. So I mean, I get when you have a scorer and a guy like that on your team, he can facilitate too. But for whatever reason, nobody else can work next to him. You know, they've had issues with coaches in the past. They've had issues with other, I guess, not just necessarily stars, because who was the big man they just shipped out this last year? I'm blanking on his name. You like him?
You should do better. It was John Collins, and I love
John Collins, right?
My boy.
It's John like Collins. Any other high usage player on that team. It's like they have issue. It appears on the surface like there's issues with Trae Young because of his, I think, just how he carries himself, his attitude and stuff, and like the rumors that we hear in Atlanta. But for some reason, nobody can work with Trae Young. John Collins got him out of there. DeJounte Murray, it seems like, they tried to make them this interesting guard duo, but again, it's the pairing isn't working for some reason. And it's like the common denominator here is Trae Young. So it's like, what's the real issue here? It's easy to point a finger at like locker room stuff or on the court issues with like Trae Young's attitude or something. I don't know what it is. Probably a combination of things. But either way, the rumor is yes, Murray's on the way out. So it's like, what's going on in Atlanta? Why can't anything ever work with Trae? I don't know why they keep leaning on Trae if they keep having issues. Like, I would just move him, I think, and just, shuffle the deck and start over, because what has Atlanta had to show for themselves since acquiring Trae Young? Nothing of real value, right? I mean, no real
Nothing.
playoff success. So I don't get it. Plenty of teams are going to be happy to take Murray off their hands. So I don't. If I was an Atlanta fan, I would be kind of like, I don't know, a little over it at this point. I mean, how do you feel about them?
About DeJounte or the Hawks situation?
I guess both. I mean, they kind of lead into each other. So it's like, I mean, I don't really think there's anything bad you're gonna say about DeJounte Murray or anything like that. I'm just
Not
saying,
at all.
that's what I'm saying. Like, nobody's gonna have anything bad to say about Murray in this situation, right? So it's like, what do you think of him?
I've always been a fan.
Yeah, I know.
Always been a fan. This is what I'll say. Because we forgot to mention the three coaches. I mean, Trae Young's on the coach 3 right now. It's time to move on from Trae Young if I'm the Atlanta Hawks. You've done everything in your power to put a winning team around this guy, and nothing works. So it's time to move on for Trae Young. So moving DeJounte Murray is not the answer. You can actually build around him. Let's not forget, he was on a very bad San Antonio team, but they were actually winning more games than they're winning now with the Rookie of the Year. So let me just throw that out there. And he was damn near averaging a triple-double every night. Speaking of Murray, I believe you move on from Trae Young. They won't do it, of course. They don't have the balls to do it. For whatever reason, they don't have the balls to do it. In a sense, he does put asses in the seats in Atlanta, so I get that. But it is, if they want us to take them serious, then they have to move on from him. The Lakers are tied to Murray, which is odd to me. It's very, very odd to me that they're tied to him, and then also the Heat are tied to him. I don't get why the Lakers are trying to get another ball handler there when you still have LeBron James as the primary ball handler, because when you try to take the ball off of him, it never works. It never works. And the Lakers have a good team right now. I don't get that move.
Would they trade D'Lo to get him? Because I mean, if that's what it is, then I mean, I would take Murray over D'Lo.
They've already benched D'Lo, but D'Lo hasn't moved the needle over there anyway. So I don't think Atlanta would give up DeJounte Murray for D'Lo. Like, you get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. He's not a needle mover. And if DeJounte and Trae Young couldn't play together, what the hell makes people think Trae Young and D'Lo can play together? It's not working. It's not going to work. And D'Lo has already expressed his displeasure with the Lakers. So it's like, okay, I don't think D'Lo is I don't think the Hawks go. You might as well keep Murray if you're going to trade for D'Lo. It's just like, it doesn't make sense. So the Lakers is a little weird. I know the Heat are desperate to get another name down there. So just whatever. I get it. Whatever. But the Lakers is very weird to me to be looking at DeJounte Murray. But hey, we've seen stranger things happen. So as far as standings are concerned, I don't know why I took the standings down. I should have left them up. Forgive me, guys. The Western Conference, they had a good matchup last night between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the OKC Thunder, and the Thunder actually won that game.
Nice.
So the Thunder right now are still second in the West, but they're one game behind the Minnesota Timberwolves. So I gave the T Wolves a little love on here before. We talked about the Thunder just a little bit before. How shocked are you now at mid-season that the Timberwolves have still been able to hold on to the number one spot?
Pretty surprised. It's not like crazy, but I thought Denver would kind of dominate this season. We know teams can get fat cat syndrome, but still, and they've had their issue with some injuries. I mean specifically, I know Murray. I mean, he's back now, but I know Murray's been in and out a couple times this season. So I'll give them that. But still, I thought Denver would be a top 2 team. I thought they'd be number 1, honestly. So I'm a little surprised that both 1 and 2 are not Denver. But I mean, Denver's right there, and they're all close. They're like what? They almost have the same record. It's like a game apart, 2-game loss difference. So, I mean, it's close. I just wouldn't have suspected this sustained level of dominance because Minnesota's pretty much been there all season.
Yeah.
I mean, OKC's been really good all season too. I'm just, like I said, I'm surprised Denver's not number 1 or 2, but it's so close. That's a fair argument. The Clippers have been the most surprising team, I'd say, in the last few months in terms of every time I'm checking the scores, it seems like the Clippers are winning right now. And I'll be honest, if you would have asked me at the beginning of the season if the Pelicans and Mavs would have been over, a few of the other teams, I probably would have been a little surprised. Phoenix, I'm sure a lot of people thought they'd be higher. You know how we feel about Phoenix. I know that's what I was going to say. Sacramento, I would have probably picked to. I probably would have thought Sacramento was going to be better than New Orleans, or right there with Dallas. Dallas raised a lot of questions last season to me, so it's a little odd, the standings to me. If I mean, before the season, I wouldn't have really guessed it. The Lakers falling off pretty hard. I mean, they've been winning a little bit lately, but they were in the hole, so they needed to win. The Jazz have been on a bit of a streak too, so they're surging. I mean, I would have thought all these teams we're looking at now would have been in the top 10, but I just would have shuffled them around a little bit more, a little differently than what we're looking at. Who's been the biggest surprise to you?
You're so fucking. How the fuck do you think the Jazz are going to stay in a fucking play-in and you still have the Golden State Warriors down there? Those are only 2 games out of the play-in. You're so disrespectful.
Oh, swap one team then. I mean, I picked Golden State to be better than they were, but when you show me the list here and they're not even on there, they're not even top 10. I mean, you gotta give me the whole list there. Down below Houston, which nobody would have guessed.
The Golden State Warriors are a game and a half out of the play-in, and by the end of the season, they will be in whatever the fuck they're going through. They will be in the play-in. I guarantee you that. And the Lakers should not be this low because I still think no one wants to see the Lakers in the first round. Let me just say that. Let me just throw that out there. Their record is very deceiving because if you have a healthy Anthony Davis and a healthy LeBron James, you have a shot. So their record is so deceiving. But no, I believe. Go ahead.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen! Look at the Lakers and Golden State, though. I mean, just rank wise, it's a couple of seasons ago. It's totally different story.
Well, the Lakers at this point are more believable than the Warriors because the Warriors just can't get their shit together. But out of respect for Stephen Curry, you heard it first here. The Golden State Warriors are going to be in the play-in. Now, what happens after that, I don't know. But the Golden State Warriors are going to be in the play-in. So really quick, we're going to just take another quick peek at the Eastern Conference. I like what you said about Denver. I think Denver is going to be okay by virtue of them going into Boston and being the first team this season to beat Boston in Boston. So I think Denver is going to be okay. That was a big win for Denver. A huge win for Denver. So, of course, you have the Celtics, Milwaukee, Philadelphia. Then you have Cleveland, New York, and Miami as your top six. Pacers, who just got Halliburton back. Magic, Chicago, who rose up, and then Atlanta. So, as far as Brooklyn, Toronto, Charlotte, Washington, I'm not even going to mention Detroit. Do you think any of those teams have a chance to rise up, or do you think the top 10 is going to be set?
No, I think the top 10 are set. I mean, Brooklyn could knock off Atlanta, maybe, but that's the only teams I see swapping. If I'm being honest, Brooklyn and Atlanta. I think Chicago is kind of just. I think they're better than Atlanta. It's just they have other issues. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that top 10 set. Like I said, maybe Atlanta for Brooklyn. That's the only difference, but I doubt it.
Got it. I will. Dame, I love you to death, Dame. God knows I love you, Dame. I would never say anything bad about you, Damian Lillard. God, I love you. Fuck Portland. Man, Milwaukee struggled with Detroit yesterday. I was watching that game, and Milwaukee won, but man, they were struggling with fucking Detroit. They get through these games. They find a way to win these games. But when I look at them being second in the Eastern Conference, if they're not the biggest joke of a number 2 team, I couldn't tell you who is, man. I watched enough of them to know they are in trouble. They are in big trouble because the wins that they're squeezing out by virtue of, like I said, they struggle, they fall behind, and in the fourth quarter they pull it all together. That's going to run out at some point. It's going to run out, man.
I'll be honest, though. There's something about Philly that I don't believe. Like, I don't think Philly is coming out of the East.
Disrespectful to
I don't think they have the playoff chops to pull off. I don't think they have it to pull off the Eastern Conference. I just don't think they.
So disrespectful with the veterans that's on that team. Their bench is loaded. You are so disrespectful today to Joel Embiid.
I need to see it from Philadelphia at this point. I need to see it to believe it, because I just don't. I feel like they kind of fool us every year too, but they don't win anything. So let's see them win something before, because right now, the Heat can look. The Heat can always end up in the conference final.
We're not
all right,
Heat, right?
All right. I believe. All right, but it's gonna be Boston, and I think it's gonna be either Milwaukee or Miami that has to go up against them in the conference finals. I believe in Milwaukee and Miami more than I do Philly.
This is where we disagree. Miami is always the wild card, right? So this is where we disagree. I'm looking at Philly. They're half a game behind Milwaukee. Philly plays better defense. Philly is bigger. They have a player that's more hungry, and Tyrese Maxey, that will, with no disrespect to Dame, will eat Dame alive offensively. And Tyrese is a little bigger than Dame, too. I think Philly's going to end the season higher than Milwaukee. Okay, I believe that. As great as Giannis, damn, they had a triple-double last night. As great as Giannis has been playing, as great as Giannis plays every year, it's not enough. And that's no disrespect to Dame. Milwaukee still can't spell defense right now. Philly plays better defense. And then Tyrese Maxey has been so fucking just phenomenal. Look, beginning of the season when they lost James Harden, did we think Maxey would make the leap that he's made? No. We knew he was going to step it up a little bit, but we didn't know he was going to become a fucking superstar like he has. So he's earning that check that he's going to get. So I think Philly has the potential to leapfrog Milwaukee. Now, as far as Boston, this is the most complete Boston team I've seen in a long time. The most complete I've seen. With that said, I don't trust any one of those teams playing against Miami, because Miami is just such a fucking wild card. It's just it is what it is. It just is what it is. So, but this is the most complete Celtics team I've seen. They're doing what we thought they were going to do. Once they got Porzingis, I was like, yeah, they're going to be good this year. And they have been. He's been playing great. He's been healthy for the most part of the season. So if I was to do a too early conference finals prediction, as the standings are right now, with the top 6, Miami would play Philly in the first round. I don't want that right now. I don't. Milwaukee.
Y'all got that, though. Yeah, if you play Philly, y'all got that.
We beat them the last 2 times in the playoffs we played them. I will say that. Milwaukee will go up against, theoretically, the winner between Orlando and the Pacers. And this is what I'll say about Milwaukee. No disrespect to the Orlando Magic. If the Pacers play Milwaukee in the playoffs, Milwaukee's done. Absolutely done. And here's why I say that. The Pacers have beaten them 4 out of 5 times this year. They almost came to blows 2 times. The Pacers are in the Bucks' head. Damian Lillard can't do anything with a healthy Tyrese Halliburton. It ain't happening. Sorry. I love you, Dame. It ain't happening. That's doomsday for Milwaukee if they have to play the Pacers in the first round. It is absolute. I am as sure as Milwaukee would lose to Miami as I am that Milwaukee would lose to the Pacers at this point, because I saw 3 of those games. It wasn't even close. It wasn't even close. Indiana has absolutely no fear of the Milwaukee Bucks. So that would be doomsday. So New York and Cleveland, that's going to be a dogfight. We had it last year. New York got through Cleveland. And I was the only person that picked New York to get through Cleveland, by the way, and they did. And New York's gotten stronger this year, so they'll get through Cleveland again. I just don't trust the Bucks. I think the Bucks are the weakest team in the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. I'm sorry. I've seen too much of them this year. I'm not impressed by them. If there's a first round knockout, there will be a coaching change. They already want him fired down. I'm just like, no, it's too early. There will be a coaching change in Milwaukee if they get knocked out in the first round. I'm just throwing it out there, man. Just throwing it out there. No one wants to play you guys in the first round. No one wants to play the Pacers in the first round. And God knows no one wants to play the Heat in the first round. That's just where it's at. That's just where it's at. So do you believe Boston's still coming out of the Eastern Conference?
Yes. I think this year, yeah. Unless something happens, I'm not saying they can't lose, but if I had to throw money down right now on one team, I feel the safest throwing it on Boston.
And here's the last question I'm going to ask you before we wrap it up for today. If Boston doesn't do it this year, because I can't remember the exact number, but they've been to the Eastern Conference Finals like 7 out of 6 years or some shit like that, and they've gone to the finals once. If Boston doesn't go to the NBA Finals this year, because technically Boston has to win this thing. They've been so good for so long, they have to win one. Same thing with Miami. So if Boston doesn't get – so to put this in perspective, Boston's been to the conference finals 7 out of 6 years, only went to the finals 1. Miami's going to the finals twice. Let's just put that out there. If Boston doesn't do it this year, do you make changes to the roster?
I don't think they will this season if they make it to the finals. I just think they replace the coach. I think for sure they replace the coach. If they do any roster changes, I feel like it'll be minor roster changes.
I mean, they did that this past year by adding Drew Holiday and Porzingis.
Those aren't minor. Those aren't minor additions.
So you consider those major?
Yeah. Those are impact players. Those are big-time impact players. He's not a bench guy. Like, Holiday's not a bench guy getting 10 minutes a game. No, they're impact players. I feel like if they make it to the finals and lose, which they should make it. If they don't make it that far, then other changes would have to occur. Yeah, but I think the biggest thing they're going to do is try to bring in a more veteran coach or a different coach for those guys if they lose in the finals. I still, if I had to put money on one team this season in either conference, I still would put money on Denver being the champions again. And until they get beaten in a 7-game series, they looked so good locked in last season that I'm still going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I still think Denver has one of the best chances to win the championship this year. And then after that, I'd pick Boston. I think Denver, then Boston.
1 second. 5 out of the last 7 years, Boston has been into the conference finals, and with 1 NBA Finals appearance. With them being the strongest that I think they are right now, if they fail to get to the NBA Finals and win this thing, I don't know if a minor roster change would change anything because they're their strongest right now. So I can't see them making a move that will make them any stronger, barring injury, of course. I don't see a move that would make them any stronger than they are right now. I think they start to move backwards. If they didn't make the changes that they made this offseason, I think they would have moved backwards this year. So this is their best shot. And God knows, Denver, Jokic, Murray, my boy, Michael Porter Jr., my main man, Aaron Gordon. I have nothing.
Aaron Gordon's nobody's main man. Let's just be real.
He's mine and John Hennigan's main man, okay? I have nothing. Yeah, forgive me. I have nothing but love for those guys, okay? Nothing but love. And they're the champs until somebody beat them. But I think if this Boston team is currently constructed can't beat them, then nobody can beat them.
Mm-hmm.
And Denver just went into Boston. It was a close game. It was a close game. But Denver just went into Boston and won, which no other team, my team, your team, no other team has done this year. And I think you guys beat them twice up there last year, and I think we beat them twice up there too in the playoffs. So I agree with you that I think Boston is going to be the class of the Eastern Conference, but I think this is their last year to get it done before you kind of have to go into another direction. So
yeah, I can see that. I just think if they make it to the finals, they buy themselves another season, and I think the biggest thing they will change will be the coach. So I'm not disagreeing with you and saying that this is their best year, but I'm saying their roster, I think, will buy themselves another year if they make it to the finals, and they'll put it on the coach. I fully believe that.
There's 2 teams.
I still think, like I said, I think that's the finals that we see, Denver, Boston, but Denver just looked so good last year. I'm gonna go with Denver still, until they lose. I'm gonna go with Denver. Yeah.
I will say this because Joel Embiid, Denver had a crazy week because they had to play Boston, they had to play Philly, and Philly, they beat Boston and Philly beat them. I will say this about Philly. No matter what happens with Miami, if I had the choice between Philly and Miami to go to the finals and beat Denver, I would go with Philly. They're big enough. They're hungry enough. They're deep enough. Miami's not big enough to deal with Denver, but we learned that last year. It's not even close. They're not big enough. Excuse me. I think Joel Embiid, this is the year Joel Embiid could get to the NBA Finals for the first time. I just because I don't believe in Milwaukee. I think Philly can do some things with Boston because of their size. I think Philly's going to come out the East this year.
I wonder what's Philly's record against Boston.
I don't remember what it is this year. I can look it up really quick. 1 second. Gotta check the interwebs.
Because didn't Milwaukee just have a good win or a win against Boston?
They did. Yeah, Milwaukee beat Boston. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like, Boston's not, this is their strongest team, but they're not like invincible. I mean, no team's invincible, don't get me wrong. But
that Golden State run for a minute felt like they were almost invincible. Not this season. I just meant when they were in their prime, you know?
Right. So let's see. Trying to find it now. Why are they showing me Sixers and Magic? I want Sixers and Celtics. Yeah, Golden State was a beast for a couple of years. They went to the finals for 4 straight years. That was ridiculous. The league wasn't ready for that. And sad news about them losing their coach this year. I know that's tough. So sad news. Our kudos, well, not even kudos, our sympathy goes out to the Golden State Warriors for losing their assistant coach this year. I was able to find one final from December. Looks like Celtics won 125 to 119. That's the only one I can find right now. Hold on. What? They've played. Okay, here it is. They've played 3 times already. So you ready for this? November 8th, the Sixers won 106 to 103. November 15th, the Celtics won 117 to 107. And then December 1st, the Celtics won 125 to 119. So fairly close games. The Celtics are up 2-1 right now on the Sixers. So,
yeah, it's going to be a few playoff series that are going to be fun to watch.
Absolutely. So, we are going to wrap it up for this week's episode of the Hardwood Nation podcast. Please like, subscribe, and share our content. Drop comments below. Tell us how much you love us. Tell us how much you hate us. We always respond. Everyone be safe, and we are out.
See ya.